の中で影の声が囁くんだ。秘密の街角に眠る古い伝説さ。明かされぬサジンの謎が呼び覚まされ、闇に消える証拠が夜を包む。探せ消えた真実を闇の奥で見つけ行方不明の答え、星の涙で洗い流して洗い流して闇の中で最終幕が待っている。踊れて名付く。
The city was sweltering that morning, the air thick with the promise of summer. In a modest apartment tucked away in one of the older neighborhoods, a young boy named Shiki stirred in his bed. The sunlight poured through the window, casting warm beams across his face and rousing him from his sleep. His hair, messy from the night's rest, fell across his forehead as he blinked groggily at the ceiling. His eyes darted to the clock.
Holy crap, I'm late again. Katara's gonna kill me.
He shot out of bed, quickly brushing his teeth and throwing on his school uniform. The crisp white shirt and navy pants felt stiff against his skin, but there was no time to care about comfort. He grabbed his bag and dashed out the door, racing toward the subway station. The usual routine. Nothing unusual, except for the strange sensation that something was off. As he made his way down the stairs to the platform, Shiki noticed a figure standing in the shadows near the edge of the platform. The man was tall, draped in a sharp, formal suit, his face hidden beneath the brim of the shadows. Even in the crowded space of the subway station, Shiki felt his gaze on him, a weighty, almost suffocating stare. The man's eyes glowed a strange shade of gold, cold and piercing. For a moment, Shiki froze, meeting the man's gaze with a look of confusion rather than fear. Then, without a word, the train arrived, and the doors slid open with a hiss. The man remained in the shadows, still watching as Shiki stepped onto the train. The train lurched forward, and the moment passed. When Shiki finally arrived at school, he was already running late for homeroom. As he hurried into the classroom, his eyes searched for the one person he could always count on. There, sitting near the front of the room, was Katera. She was already looking at him with that familiar, exasperated expression. Shiki couldn't help but grin sheepishly as he slid into the seat next to her.
You're late again, Shiki. This is the third time this week. I won't be able to cover for you a fourth time,
Katara said, her tone a mix of affection and mild irritation.
I'm sorry, I overslept. I was up all night again.
Shiki said, offering a nervous laugh. Katera rolled her eyes but smiled anyway. She'd known him since they were both children, and despite his tendency to procrastinate and often get lost in his own world, she wouldn't trade their friendship for anything. Shiki leaned in, lowering his voice.
You know, there was this guy at the subway station today. He was staring at me. It was kind of creepy.
Katera raised an eyebrow, her usual skepticism showing.
You're probably just imagining things. Maybe he was just a guy waiting for the train.
Shiki wasn't so sure, but he let the conversation drop. No point in worrying her unnecessarily. The day went on as it always did, filled with chatter, lessons, and the occasional laugh between them. Before each class, they'd share a quick hug, a small ritual that had become second nature over the years. After school, Katera invited Shiki to her favorite burger joint, Savory's Burgers. She loved the place, and it had become their tradition to hang out there after school whenever they could. The evening air was warm, and the sun hung low, casting a golden glow over the city. Inside Savory's, the atmosphere was lively. Shiki and Katera sat in a booth by the window, surrounded by the rich scent of sizzling burgers and fries.
So, any plans for the summer?
Katera asked, between bites of her burger. Shiki leaned back, thinking.
Maybe just relax, hang out with you. You know, the usual. Maybe finish a few of the video games I've been playing. What about you?
I might go camping with my family. It'll be nice to get away from the city for a bit. The traveler in me is itching for an exhilarating adventure.
Shiki smiled, nodding in agreement.
Sounds fun. I wouldn't mind a little adventure of my own. Maybe I could tag along, you know. Maybe it'll be a nice change.
I already told them you were coming, you silly man.
Shiki smiled nervously. They spent the rest of the evening chatting about plans for the break, enjoying the comfort of each other's company. It was easy, simple. But the nagging thought of the strange man still lingered in Shiki's mind. As the evening drew to a close, they said their goodbyes outside the restaurant. The street was quieter now, the sounds of the city fading into the distance. Shiki headed down the familiar path to the subway station, eager to get home. But as he neared the platform, a chill ran down his spine. The same man from earlier, the one who had been watching him, was standing there, his figure cloaked in shadow once again. This time, his eyes didn't gleam with curiosity. They were cold, calculating. Shiki hesitated for a moment, heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The man had been following him. But why?
Hey, what do you want from me? Why are you following me?
Shiki called out, his voice louder than he intended. The man stepped into the dim light of the platform, revealing a face that seemed too smooth, too flawless, almost unnatural. His eyes locked onto Shiki's, and his lips curled into a slow, menacing smile.
My name is Midas. I'm looking for something. A sword called the Ghost Edge. It has a green handle, gold blade protectors. Sound familiar? Where is it?
The man said, his voice low and unyielding.
Wait, what are you talking about? I don't have any sword like that.
Shiki asked, heart racing. Then, as if a distant memory suddenly flickered into focus, Shiki remembered something. A gift from years ago. A sword, ornate and sharp. Green handles with a gold blade protector, given to him on his birthday by a mysterious older woman he could barely remember.
My sword's just a part of my collection. It's not for sale.
Shiki said slowly. Midas's smile faded, replaced by a look of cold impatience. He pulled something from beneath his coat, a sleek black handgun polished to a deadly shine.
Tell me where it is, or I'll make you.
Shiki felt a knot form in his stomach. He took a step back, hands raised in defense.
Look, bro, it's just a sword, it's not that deep. Some old dusty woman gave it to me. I don't even remember her name. It's at my house. Take it.
To carelessly keep such a treasure in your place of rest is such a reckless mistake.
The man's eyes narrowed, and before Shiki could react, Midas pulled the trigger. The sharp, deafening crack of the gunshot split the air. Shiki didn't have time to scream. The bullet struck him in the chest, and he collapsed to the ground, his vision darkening. Midas stood over him for a moment, watching with cold detachment. He then reached down, rifling through Shiki's pockets with practiced ease, taking whatever he could find. Shiki's body was left on the cold tiled floor of the subway station. Katera heard the gunshot. She had not been too far, walking towards the subway station when the noise pierced the evening air. Her heart lurched in her chest. She arrived at the station breathless, her mind racing. She scanned the area, hoping it was just a terrible accident. But then she saw him, Shiki, lying motionless on the floor, his blood pooling beneath him, His eyes were wide, staring at nothing. Katera screamed. Rushing to his side, she knelt beside him, her hands trembling as she checked for a pulse, but it was no use. He was gone. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched him to her chest, sobbing uncontrollably. She screamed for help, but no one came. The station was eerily silent, save for the distant hum of a subway train. Shiki's body was left in the shadows, his pockets emptied, his life stolen in an instant. Midas watched from the shadows, unseen and untouchable. The ghost edge would be his.
The shadow of the moonlight, the howl that pierces night, the spirit of a legend, boundless in its fight. I am the voice of thunder that echoes in the void. When silence turns to fury, my wrath is unalloyed. You can't break me, hear me out. In the darkness, I'm the proud. No wolf unleashed, no fear, no doubt. In the twilight, I scream out. Irrevocable, my spirit, rolling through the snow. With eyes that pierce the silence, in shadows I bestow.